Good evening, viewers of Divine Mercy Television. You're welcome to yet another edition of Let's Talk here on your darling TV station with me, your host, Prince Leak here. Every Tuesday, we make it a point of duty to be here at 5 to discuss with you and, of course, share our own little quota. And we also give you out there the opportunity for you to share your own. Our own goal or our motive is to see how we make the society better by bringing out very, very important topics that will help shape the society, especially the minds of the youth. So that is our only two contribution that we are giving back into our society. I'm not alone. I always have persons who, despite their busy schedule, will abandon what they are doing every Tuesday to be with us here on Divine Mercy Television to contribute based on the topic of discussion. Today we have another very interesting topic. It's kind of related to what we discussed the last time because we realized that it was really very broad and we could not handle it for an hour. So we decided to carry it forward. But of course, today we'll be looking at it from another angle. Before we go into the depth of the matter, it will be proper that I introduce to you those that are on set with me today. I will always begin with you, Mr. Ebong Fidel. You are the first always to be here. Thank you so very much. How have you been?
No, thank you very much. I've been waxing strong thanks to the protection that God has always been ensuring. Thank Him for His mercy. In fact, I owe Him a duty of always glorifying His name. Mm-hmm. And as it is always the case, I take it a duty to give my own part of the contribution to the people out there, share my own ideas. Even if I may say 10 things, but they may finally pick up like 2 or they take 1. At least it won't be that all the 10 things you said, they didn't make use of it or something. So it's a duty too that I've taken to always be here to make sure that every Tuesday, 5 o'clock at least, we can contribute to the growth of our society. And that's why we are always coming here. That's why I've taken it as a duty. I've fixed my schedules in such that 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, I know that I'm here, but I must come at least 15 minutes before time so that you get acquainted to the environment and then you prepare yourself well before the program.
It's always a pleasure having you, and we appreciate and applaud your sacrifice. And if you say you are discussing about 10 things and somebody picks 1, just say every week people pick 1 thing that you say, and in a year, just imagine how many impact you have in the society. So never you look at what you are doing to be very small. It is really very great, and it is right down in our heart. We equally have our own pretty Crystal, always smiling. How have you been?
I want to glorify God for a successful week. It hasn't been easy considering that enjoyment needs power, but His grace is sufficient. It's been good. It's been a good week, and I'm grateful for another opportunity to share ideas with great minds out there. And that's it. It's been awesome.
Thank you so very much. And as the host of the program, I just want to mention that from the feedbacks that I get, especially from the people out there, they appreciate what you people are doing so very much. And of course, that should, give us the pump, the push to continue in this line that we are. And as I always say, if you are out there and you think that you can contribute to the program, either by giving us your own topic or maybe you call us, please, every Tuesday, 5 o'clock, feel free to call, to send us your text messages, or you call us within the week to give us your own topic, what you think is very pertinent for us to discuss. We'll sit as a panel and we see, when we bring ideas from different angles together, we will make the nation a better place for you and I. The others in the course of the program, I will get to introduce them. And today we want to talk about something still very important. Last week we were discussing about a man who had to cancel the marriage or wedding because the bride-to-be described the wedding budget as too small. And we deliberated on that last week, and many people had their views, but majority of persons were saying that the woman was wrong and the man was right. Though few women were still saying that no, they can never get married to a man who at the start of a relationship or at the start of their wedding is already trying to cut down costs. Now when they go home, it will be what we call managing all the time. People have their own different views, but of course we will try to give only what is right and see how we make people think positively so that we better ourselves out there. what we want to discuss about today still has to do with marriage, but we'll look at it from this angle. Madam Kindness will place it on the screen pretty soon, and of course you will get to understand what we have for you today. Now, we want to find out from you, our beautiful viewers out there, and you here in the studio. Does huge bride price and expensive weddings define a good and a happy marriage? People get to define marriage based on how much bride price somebody pays or they pay, or how lavishly or poor or low level, let me put it that way, low key was the wedding. I've heard people who've attended wedding ceremonies and they come back say, if na so married, I never marry me. Even chop safe no day, chop safe no for go around. That girl will go suffer for that house. Which means at the start, they're already seeing that, okay, no, it will not be a happy marriage, maybe because they did things at the low key. Others were like, oh, there was so much food, there was so much drink. That girl has really hit the jackpot. She will enjoy in that home, Others, they will pay, hundreds of thousands, some even price more than 1 million for bride price. And some people, they come to traditional weddings, most of the times they can even ask you to bring 5 items just because we have this whole issue of competition also. Now you go and bring the biggest cows, the biggest goats, the biggest pigs, and people will be like, oh, happy married, the married go this and that. But those that you go for the traditional wedding and they even postpone the pig and they say, okay, let's just manage one. Oh, that girl will enter suffer. So, Mr. Ebon Fidel, let me begin with you. At this last week, you mentioned here that you don't owe your in-laws, that you don't owe them anything, which means that you are now very confident to discuss about this. When you pay a very huge bride price and celebrate a very expensive wedding, and somebody out there who maybe paid 50,000 and their traditional wedding was just maybe like knocked door, does it mean that you who have spent so much or the lavishly, does it actually defines happiness after that in the home?
I think when we take this much into greater consideration, we see that people want to create records. That's what I think it is much more focusing on. But when we want to go in the African context or the traditional context, as the case may be, each tradition or each tribe, for instance, or whatever, they have their already outlined methodology of carrying out maybe something that has to do with traditional weddings and things like that. It's only disheartening that as time goes on, because of the quest for money, the people are hungry out there, they tend to infiltrate this list, if I should put it that way. So you see that maybe the same tradition, because tradition is one, and when I say tradition is one for a particular community of a particular locality of a particular tribe, tradition can be one. But now the problem that we tend to encounter later on is that maybe they will give a list as the list is supposed to be for a traditional wedding, but you see that as that list doesn't go out the way it was originally outlined that it has to go out, following the standards that are set by the tradition or following what culture is demanding. Now you start hearing, you have to see this uncle, you have to see this auntie, you have to see this person. This person was the one that was assisting your mother when you were this, and so on. And when you start including a whole lot of all of those things into the list, inputting all of those into the list, at the end of the day you see that a traditional something that was supposed to be maybe for 500,000 or 1 million or 750,000, it is getting up to 200 to about 2 million or 2.5 million. So that's where some of the complications do come. But that is even the much and the most important part of it, of a wedding. Once you are done with it, it is but for sure that we have our identity. And our identity is our culture. It means that where we come from is where it represents us. Now I spent at least half of my age in the village. and then the other half has been in the town. But now the part that I spent in the village in those early days, when we were about 6 years, 7 years, anyway, to me, I didn't even really could place my hand on what is what and what is not what. But I quite remember that I have a family member who got married to a husband, and the husband did not come officially to our house to say they are coming to get married to our sister or our daughter. What they did was, it's like you hear that somebody is working somewhere, and then they take, okay, the person sends information to the mother that I need a wife, and then they communicate with the person that, okay, there is one fine lady here. They take the lady, go and meet the man with wherever the man is working. I know of like 4
But before doing that, I'm sure tradition demands that they must have sent the items, the necessary items, before the woman will have to leave the
I was coming to that, and I was coming to that just to say that anyway, that's what I'm saying, that I am Bakossi, and when you enter Bakossi is really broad. So what is obtainable maybe in one part of the Bakossi is not obtainable in the other part of the Bakossi. But now what I was indirectly wanting to come to was the fact that before maybe some of these things were being put together to see that, okay, the traditional part of it now is complete, the woman that is in question, the woman in question is already or was already living with the man for more than 4, 5, 6, some are even getting to 10 years. And both families are not worrying about it, because with them, and what I understood as at that time was that they were so much focused on the welfare or the how the family is first of all grows up. It means that you were not like forced that you must do all of these things today before you can take this woman home and things like that. But now, unlike the case that we have now, everything in the African system now, or in our own context of it, we want to brandish everything, want to give everything a brand. It's like, I mean, you see even people even going to an extent of having 12 Ashebi girls in a traditional wedding, keeping aside the court. Maybe they will still have in the court the church, they will still have the church and things like that. So you see that it makes budgets for even if it is a knockdown, people want to remove what we call Ashwabi, and by the time you start factoring all of those things into the budget, it makes the budget really very huge. But that is not really the focus of it. It's not the focus of it, because it does not define that when you go and get married to a woman for 20 million or 10 million or even 5 million, that it will give value to the relationship or give value to the marriage. It's not actually focusing on that. What I think is here is the real thing is the intimacy, the respect that the two people have. Whether you pay a bride price for a woman for 50,000, if the love is not there, it means that at the end of the day, the marriage will not really be that much valuable to you. Though some people now, we are trying to think at it as if to say it is becoming something of a mockery situation, that maybe you say, okay, look at this woman that I married you off for 200,000. Whereas that is not actually the case. So I am beginning to think that there is what we call marriage. 3/4 or half of what so many people are doing now is not marriage. It's not marriage because they are not ready to get married. Some people only want to create records. That's what I think is happening now.
All right. Thank you very, very much, Mr. Ebong. People who want to create a record all in the name of marriage. Now, Madam Christel, looking at what Mr. Ebong have said and the way people define weddings, you always say November, December, a period of weddings, and girls will always do this. During weddings, the man will not really have much issue of what will people wear, what should my friends wear, what will I wear. There are people who during their weddings, they can even pick up, male, they can pick up an old shoe from their closet that still looks very good, polish it and put it on. But with women, it must be new hair, new shoe, new dress, new everything. And most of the friends who come there, they compare. I don't want to enter a sofa. Hey, Christel go enter a balok so. I know, hey, Christel go enjoy that man, get money. it's marriage all about money, because everything is centered around money. People start defining the success or failure of the wedding, of the marriage at the wedding ceremony, because, okay, they gave everybody drinks to their satisfaction, there was enough food, the man brought cow, goats and stuff during the traditional wedding. Is it all about money?
Frankly speaking, I can't say marriage is all about money or it's not all about money. Okay. I think both money is an integral part of marriage. Okay. But going by what we're trying to discuss, like those huge bride price or an expensive wedding define a good and happy home, I think for people who cannot make a clear difference between what is a happy home and what's a sad home and what is the wedding and marriage, it's going to cause a whole lot of problems. Wedding to me is that less than 24-hour celebration. Like what you do, like the ambience and the show, that's the wedding. But the marriage is after the wedding. And if you think that the size of your bride price or the size of your population or the food and drinks you can offer to people is going to affect or is going to make your home better, then I think you're mistaken. I think you're losing a point. There is no your happiness, the happiness of your home does not depend on how much your husband paid as your bride price or how much they spent in total for your wedding. Now, a marriage is being made a home. That's why there's a house and there's a home. If you cannot make your home, no matter how big your house is, it will not be a happy place to want to live in. So to our young girls, to people of my age who are still thinking and wanting to show off, please, I want you to show off. It's a good thing. We want to also clap. We want to be happy during that moment. Like we want to shout and say, this marriage makes sense. But please, after the wedding, you'll be alone in your house. And then you better define if the size of your bride price made your home happy or not. That's why I just think that we should better educate our girls. Mr. Fidel made mention of things that happened in the village and all. We've so carried the white man's mentality into our culture that we forget the things that matter. For a Bakere man, once that pig has been given and has been eaten, see, that marriage is settled. Whether you bought the pig for 5,000 or for 500,000, that is it's okay. But now when you start going to the wedding and all and making preparations, showing budget of 4 million, 5 million, we want to eat. We'll dress and come for the wedding. We'll dress so nicely, we'll dress so good, but know you that the size of your population or the amounts that was spent does not guarantee a happy home. So to me, it's a no that it's not really how expensive your wedding was.
Can I say this is when it comes to women, does it have to do with peer pressure? Because you made mention that we want to clap, we want to say the wedding makes sense, which means there are some weddings that does not make sense, and it kind of push people to want to do what everybody is doing.
See, Prince, I think peer pressure only accords to those who want it. Like, you cannot pressurize me to do what I don't want to do. If you think you can put me under pressure, then do it your way. I have my way. I have what I want. Like, we can be in a place. My math teacher will say you can wear a t-shirt, two people wearing the same t-shirt. One will tell you I bought it for 50,000, the other one will tell you for 5,000. If you think yours for 50,000 is better, then mine for 5,000 should not exist. So if you want peer pressure to disturb you and kind of go so bad, disturb you so much that it will affect marriage. Like, this is a lifetime commitment. Sometimes I wonder if these girls actually have full knowledge of what they are getting into. Sometimes I feel like, I used to talk with my younger sister and I'm like, some people really think that after that day they'll go back to their parents' house. Because when you see what they say, how they reason things, it baffles you. It makes you wonder, like, these people actually have full knowledge of what they are going into. And look at the ages of people getting married now. Like 2021, I'm not saying it's bad. You can be in a relationship, but there are some things you should learn. And mothers, please let your children, your girls especially, learn what is necessary before they get into the marital home. You can't learn everything at once. It's a process. It's the only institution where you get the certificate before you even start the school. But there are some basic things that if you don't carry into your home, those are the things that define a good home and a bad home, define a happy home and an unhappy home, not the price of your bride price or how huge as a Nigerian actor will say, how huge your wedding is. So peer pressure acts so much. It's a factor, but only to those who are ignorant. My people perish because of lack of knowledge.
Okay, thank you so very much, Madame Christelle. And if you are just joining us, please have your say on the number below your screen. You can send us a text message or write on WhatsApp. You give us your own opinion based on our topic this evening. Pastor Asam, you're very much welcome. Ashia for traffic. You know, Boya is becoming very urban, and with the urban nature of the town, we face things like this. Ashia. So, of course, we are talking about this whole issue of those huge bride price and expensive, lavish wedding celebration. Does it actually make a happy wedding? Mr. Ebon, Fidel mentioned something here that people at times use to mock their wives based on the money they used to marry them. I've been in a situation where somebody will say, look at this one that I even paid 1 million for a bride price, talk to me anyhow, you know, which means that they are now comparing you based on the money that they pay. I've even been in a situation where two girls, married women, young girls, they were quarreling, and they say, look at this one where they bring out some small dry pics of it married. You can't talk for me with them, someone unpick the big. It's kind of comparison. So that's why I'm saying that peer pressure is kind of like eating into the whole issue. Now, Pastor, you are the one, you prepare people for marriage, and you've made mention here in other editions that counseling and preparation before marriage is very, very important. But now, most people, as Madame Christelle said, people go to wedding and say, that wedding makes sense, it'll be big. And people will like look at, okay, if your own wedding was just there, little food and stuff, they say, you get to enter and suffer soon. But if there was enough food and drink, hit jackpot. That's the happiness. And, everything depends on the huge bride price or how lavishly the wedding was.
Obviously not. Even though, let me say good afternoon first, or good evening. Thank you for this opportunity for the talk. People try to measure those things depending on what they judge as valuable, what matters to them. Now, most people, before they get married, they have had a vision or they have seen a picture of something on YouTube they want to emulate, especially our young 21 and 22.
Yes, the entrance
Sister Christelle was trying to mention, yes. I saw a wedding of a friend of mine and I asked her, where did you have the strength to do all of this? Because I do marvel, the ambience, the details, everything, like that is not obviously what determines how a marriage will end. That is why these years that we are celebrating so many marriages, I'm also waiting for so many divorces. Because there is more in the house than just the ambience. Like Madame Christelle was saying earlier, after all of that party, you will be alone. You will have something to face, and you have a story to tell your children. You have a story to tell your grandchildren. What you make out of that home should be what you have learned, and not necessarily the ambience. Fine, if there is money, use it. If you spread it. If there is no money, dear sister, don't kill yourself. Marriage goes beyond the wedding. Are we talking about a happy wedding or about a happy marriage?
Clear difference.
So you can better have a ceremony which is not classic in quote, but the both of you know what you are getting into. We will upload anyway. Those who have sense will upload for that. Because those who don't have sense who want to come and eat, that wedding, no. Especially we also will say, we speak in our parlance.
Yes.
That wedding, no. Child, you been a come and see, go and tell.
That's it.
And then I saw something that 3 weeks after a girl was asking for divorce, I saw another one on social media 24 hours after 3 months. I was just reading things on YouTube, and can you imagine? So after all of that ambience, your parents came and sat.
Yes.
Your friends came.
Everything.
I like what the pastors usually say in church, even the fathers, the reverend fathers, say, if you can gather everybody here again, then you are permitted to divorce. So sister, by the time you are scattering that thing, you have not gathered everybody.
Come here and give me food.
Come here and give me food again and tell me you want to divorce.
Divorce party.
Divorce party. But no, during divorce party, we're not even here. It shows that what you are doing, you don't know what you're actually getting into. Now, talking about the list of bride price, I think that we need to address with our parents. Some of them are actually selling goats and cows. That bride price, some girls, we ladies don't have a hand, don't have a say.
No, yes,
you cannot have a say. So now we can talk to parents. Please stop selling your daughters. Because that, to some extent, devalues them in the eyes of the people they get married to.
True.
Because if somebody pays such, he will say, don't talk to me. Because I've bought you. Because at that time he's paying, he could be blind in love, but after that, love will get eyes. Love will shine, eye will shine, you will ask for accountability.
That's true.
So parents, please, let's try to cut it down. Let's try to cut it down. Let's be real. This is a new family these people are trying to form. Do we encourage it, or do we want them to go out there and be sleeping and enjoying whatever they call enjoyment in quotes, and then not having any respect for family, not having any respect for parents, not having any respect for themselves, because you are going. I've heard a wedding of recent just here in Boya, suspended for months because of 600,000 bride price. Suspended for after a very long time. It's still suspended up to now. 600.
I want to say that. I want to say that on the other hand, if is it the man is a groom now?
Yes, the groom.
I want to say that if on the other hand, a groom can suspend a wedding. Is it a wedding or something?
Traditional marriage.
Traditional marriage for 600,000. It means that even the guy too is not serious.
To some extent, he may not be serious, but to another extent, that is too. It may be too demanding for him.
The 600,000 is away from the items.
That's just a cash.
The cash price, 600,000.
Even if okay, let me. It's actually my view, but even if they say it is a cash and it is 600,000. You know that there are some families that are broad. There are other families that are not as not too broad. There are some people, just like I said earlier, that consider maybe in terms of financial benefit, they consider just the mother and the father. Now, if you're coming into a home that is a step home, or that a home that has like 2 women to 1 man, a polygamous home, know to that at the same time that as the mother of this, your own real mother is receiving something, they obviously want you to put something to chip in.
Now,
Mr.
Ebon, I understand you very well.
For the other
okay, thank God Madame Christelle is here.
Okay.
In our traditions, culture and traditions in Africa that I know, if you want to put everything, that means the list, the bride price, and everything, what we really add is mostly the peak. That will make it to be very expensive. But if you want to put the bride price, the this and everything together, it's not even. It should not be up to 1 million francs. You understand? Based on tradition, it should not even be up to 500,000 if you want to follow the typical list. But majority of persons today just blow up everything.
We are not denying what I'm trying to say is, okay, if we want to take on the barème that it should not be more than 1 million francs, for instance, and you have maybe just the cash, they say 600,000. If you want to do an equitable distribution of it, let's say it means that perhaps the father is receiving 300,000, the mother is receiving.
Do you know you're not supposed to be the one to be sharing that?
No, I'm just looking at it from the equitable distribution of it. Now, what I'm trying to look at,
bride price goes to the girl's father. Yes. Mothers have nothing to do with bride price.
But
cultures are different. Amount there that is extra.
Cultures are different.
For the mother. It's something.
I was going somewhere because in order to get married to a Bamileke girl.
Yes, that's what I want to say. Like I want to follow up from what the pastor just said. Like 600,000. Now we may think that maybe the fiscal cash, as we want to call, is a 600,000. I will go straight. I'm saying this to all my Bamileke parents and sisters. I was the bridesmaid of a wedding that the bride almost did not get married on that day because of money. And Mr. Fidel, the amount of money that was lacking was 500,000 aside the list and everything they needed. So that the person not attack me after they needed, let's say, 2.5 million. And everything listed has been bought and we have 2 million. They refuse that this thing will not go unless you give them money. So you see that it's a big problem when we start focusing on the amount, like all of these things. Now for someone, I told my parents immediately I left that place, I told them, Mom, that I thank God that I've met Jesus. He's a good man, he's my father. He will forgive me if I run away with this guy. and I just start my family. And even a dime, people will not see. People cannot come and kill the man that wants to get married. People cannot come and kill. No, it's tradition, and you see now this is what goes beyond. Now they'll start looking at the color of the lady.
Yes.
How many?
I accept to you, same as I accept to you that you made mention that everything inclusive. If it can go, it should not be, let's say averagely $1 million, or a million is even still too much. Let's say averagely it can go.
Now, we say about that, like that. In order for us not to derail, let me put a cap on this particular point. Now, there is this saying that you don't pay bride price all at once.
That's it.
Because if, for instance, they charge me, let me say 500,000 francs for my wife, tradition demands that if I just remove that 500,000 francs and pay, I'm kind of like abusing my in-laws.
That's true.
So the issue is bride price never ends. Okay, if you get married today and your in-law is sick and they say contribute, or one of your in-laws that they say buy coffee and this and that is still bride price.
The way we want to go.
But now if you give that huge amount and then it has to be suspended, and Nama will go and hustle and maybe borrow money and stuff because they want to meet that target. I bet you if that person gives you that money and something happens, that person will remind you of that.
I'll advise him not to give anything.
The wife, I will not allow it.
Yes.
The issue is the problem that we even have presently, just like we're trying to say, it's focusing more on our parents. And if we say it's focusing more on our parents, it's because they are the people now that want to derive another way of coming out with extra money from the pockets of people. And that's where the major problem even is. But I want to bet you, some people may think that if somebody gives you maybe the daughter that get married to this my daughter, don't give me anything, go and stay. Instead, that type of marriage, you should be very, very careful with.
I've heard of a father like
you
that.
You need to be very, very careful with it.
Even Benny
At
does
any
not
time
give
you
his
do
kid,
any
no
sort of nonsense,
Yes.
the man tells
They
that
can come and take the daughter.
Yes, he just comes and take. It means
What we are
you
saying
have
is
not
not that
valued
they should
the
give you
daughter.
for free. Tradition has laid down position. You mentioned it here that it has a methodology that they follow in every tradition.
Yes.
In my own culture, Bakuri, the mother's list is not that much. The father's list should not also be that much. With the Bakuri man, you give the walking stick, the sanja, the cap, the whiskey, envelope, white shirt. Simple. But now you will see they will add so many other things in the list. They'll go to the mother list and add this and add that. Things that are not traditional. When the granite oil become traditional.
Please talk about Ngondo when they are removing those ladies. Before they remove their bride,
they will take money. Okay, but the Boris is bad, petrol has finished.
Yes.
This and that. You
There's
understand?
too much more on the way.
Alright, we have this. We have this
Another one
contribution.
is
It's from Elmeda. Elmeda says, "Good evening, panelists. To me, I support what Pastor just said about parents giving out their children as if they are selling expensive hair or dresses. I, for one, I am a living witness where I've lost a suitor because the price of my bride price was too high. He said he was going to come back with the family, but my brother, till today, I'm still waiting."
the family is
That's from Elmeda.
Yes,
That's somebody's
the man has not
experience.
come. How can you tell me that I have suffered for like 5, 6, 7 years? I don't steal. I was able to raise 3 million. I know that in this 3 million we'll have somewhere we'll use parts like I have.
There was life
to satisfy
And then
what
take care of
culture
their
is
daughter.
asking.
Take
And
care
then the
of their
other
daughter you are
one we
getting
keep
married
it
to.
for maybe subsequent things. And then some people want to come and grab everything at once, and this thing has created a lot of problems. It's because people don't want to know that when you give exorbitant bride prices like that, you are selling off your daughter. And once you sell off your daughter, truly, if I pay 3 million for any lady I'm getting married to, once a lady comes to my house, I lock my door.
That's it. That's if you're even courageous to even pay, because when we run like this young man ran.
Now the issue is
because
and when
somebody
I lock my
will pay
door,
that
when
even lock
I lock my door, I
run.
mean that I give a deaf ear to whatever a thing that is happening again to the family. You have sold me the material, I bought it. No need for.
Now I've been a witness to,
Yes.
Because now some persons out there, I just received a text message. Somebody says no, that tradition is tradition and it should be followed to the latter. Understood? But I've been to a situation where, in one house, the same tribe, they give different lists
exactly.
and different bride price.
That's what I would have loved to say on concerning that, because currently they don't do that for everybody.
Now, if your suitor
Bride
looks
price,
a little bit,
right?
You understand?
If the suitor look a little bit as you are trying
Yes.
to describe, and if the girl is beautiful in their definition,
Yes.
educated,
The skin
It
color
changes.
and
fair or dark
Yes.
skin, all of those things influence the bride price, and it is not correct.
The
is
truth
not
is,
correct
I don't
at all.
think I'm just wanting to think out loud. I don't think the aspect of some parents increasing these bride prices because they think that they want to measure the capability of their would-be son-in-law.
No.
Now I've come across situations wherein we have uncles that will never see in this life.
I'm telling you.
Uncles who have never spent a dime on you, but when it comes to your marriage, these uncles have say.
Those are even
And
the
you
worst
see now
people.
they have their parts to
make
play
money,
that
yeah.
makes this money huge. But one thing we should know is that this thing, they come into agreement. I'll talk about the Basa people, but Baminike, we are better. These people, this is what they mean by exchange of goods during inflation period. Like the price of the good is high, but you know something, some of these people are so informed that they help the groom and the family. Their bride price is huge, but they know how to help to make sure that it's like tradition for them. They know what to do to ensure that this
It's affordable.
Yes, some of them don't want their kids to suffer. For example, when they say love is blind, you've toyed with your daughter, you've trained her, sent her to university and all, and she brings someone who is still to define if he's a boy or a man to marry. Sometimes we need this bride price, this huge bride price, to make them think well. And some men, I really want to bring this point about what about these men who are scared of ladies because they are established.
Yeah, it's
Because
true.
the ladies are established.
Yes, because
Like-
they kind of have some inferiority complex. What
You know-
about
you
these
know-
men?
That's why they always say it's not good for a woman to go to school too much, or maybe
to be
establish
working.
too much when you're normal.
Yes.
Like the parents will say, "Dear, where you ever go school so, or the way you ever get money, so man begin to fear you."
Like, I want to understand, Mr. Fidel, what's happening to the mindset of your gender.
The world is changing. To my gender. The world is changing. The world is changing, and maybe let's say that people used to think towards that direction.
Yeah.
But now it's no longer the way it is, because the rate of literacy now in almost everywhere
Does
is
it have to do about
increasing.
literacy?
No, when I say when I say the rate of literacy, it means that so many people are beginning to understand. It must not, or it is not established anywhere that it is only a man that must be responsible for the welfare of the entire family. Even a woman too can still do that. But what men are generally, whether we like it or not, men are generally proud. And if a man is proud, not every man will accept out there that maybe it is the wife that is taking care of him or her or the entire family. So they want to struggle to have their own first before even getting to approach somebody. And if you see a woman that is really fully established, let's say 100% fully established, that type of woman, men are looking at that type of woman as somebody that can kick you out at any time, at any point in time.
So we should not get established.
Not
We
that
have
you
to
should not get
marry.
established.
It depends
You have
now.
you
It
you have to,
depends.
because there are a whole lot of people are afraid of inferiority complex, and if they are afraid like that, they say maybe, and that's why I don't know whether it is still the fact or not. But when you look at it very well, so many men, as at that time, as at what I knew or what I still a little know, and that when it comes to women that are in the judiciary, maybe lawyers, magistrates, state councils, and the rest of that stuff, they are not really very, very open to go closer to such type of women, because they know that this one, only lawyer, you want to drop this one, you will not, as they used to say, that you will not drink water and rest somewhere and put your cup down, because all the time, I mean, so that is what they are calculating. But it's not like all of these things. I first of all think that, first of all, if the two people are really deeply in love, material things don't mean anything anymore, the way I'm looking at it. And what I am afraid when it comes to this, so many uncles coming to a particular wedding, or they are being included in a list like that, is the diabolic aspect of it.
Exactly, that's what I was coming to.
It is just the diabolic aspect of it, because you see that what you were supposed, I mean, I have seen not one, not two, not three. A lady who is getting married, there's so many uncles and the aunties that come, they don't even know the person who is getting married, but they have come and collect what they have to collect.
To come and conduct
and it is in such weddings that it's not like, just like they say, bride price is not paid at once. In such weddings, it is paid at once.
You must pay it at once.
You must pay it all at a go. Because that's the opportunity
Everybody
that they have had to come together to sit. And when they come together and sit, everything that's on the list, it must be provided such that they divide it there.
And times they
satisfactorily too.
At times they even reject some of the items. That might be too small.
That's it. That's it.
Now, Mr. Amon, just to give for what you say, I attended a wedding 2 weeks back at Boyertown, and when they were, because before the traditional wedding, both families need to go inside and cross-check the items to ensure if everything is okay.
Exactly.
And they started, shouting inside the house and stuff until about 5 or 6 of the uncles of the girl's relative, they got very angry, picked up their bags and left. We stayed at about 10 to 11. They were still debating. They left in anger, quarreling and shouting. And one mama said, "Now so witchcraft the pass."
What were you waiting for? Food.
So please, I wanted to say something concerning what Madam Christel said. See, a guy who is afraid of an established woman is not very responsible.
Wow.
A boy.
He's a boy. He's not a man. He's afraid to be challenged.
Okay.
Because a guy who knows his worth will not bother if a lady has gotten to a certain level in life. He knows that he's equal to the task.
Okay.
Now, a woman who knows what marriage is. Let me take a biblical woman, for example, or a kingdom lady who knows what marriage is. You know that even if you have sky and come back to the earth, as far as the institution of the home is concerned, you're supposed to submit under the man. So whatever you have, if you don't give honor to your husband, you are failing in marriage. You could be a lawyer, you could be a magistrate, you could be a police officer or whatever you are. But when you come to the house, you put that crown down and honor your husband, even if he does not have that. So if a man is going to a woman with such understanding and who has whatever she has, there's nothing that will spoil their marriage.
Some of them don't even approach these ladies.
That
the
is
fact you even you inquire, you like, okay,
yes,
this one is this one is this. You get so scared.
I understand what Pastor is saying, and it makes a lot of sense. But I'm looking at it from a man's or a boy's perspective. Basically, just imagine you're with a Mercedes-Benz, and you are passing, maybe you're going to a bank and you see a lady that have packed a very big Prado. And now comes out of that Prado and press the key, beep, beep, and you're there with your Mercedes-Benz.
I used to see them.
Okay. And you approach such a lady and
you like the lady.
I'm not refusing. I like you.
If you have got attracted to that lady, and you know, despite the fact that you are in Mercedes-Benz, are you a good guy? Are you a man? That's what we're talking about.
What do you
have something you're working on? Are you going somewhere?
Don't forget.
Don't just be with your Mercedes-Benz and what you are seeing now is only that person's car and the pim she pressed.
Exactly.
She will also look down with you because where you just need to engage a conversation of 15-20 minutes, you will know the person standing beside you, whether male or female.
We are not denying. I am, and at the same time, I'm not supporting men. You understand that? I am simply saying, or what we are simply saying, that this may be what is running in their respective minds.
So we will say that they should not be afraid. They should
of course. It is the same thing that somebody like me, I am off the lane. So, but if I was still on the lane, then I will take this advice and try to implement it. But then don't be surprised too. At the same time, you see that maybe you've gotten into such a relationship, and then you start hearing tomorrow that you guys will sign monogamy, separate properties. It's very, very possible.
Now it's two ways. What they are saying, that men will be afraid to talk to maybe women who are up there. Most women nowadays are also skeptical getting married to already made men because they believe that those men will treat them or look at them as properties. Most at times, yes, they will say, "Where were you when I was working my money? Look at this thing that I picked from the gutter." Most of the time, this is my house. When you people are married, it's supposed to be our house. But sooner or later, you hear this statement of I coming. So don't you think it's a problem with two ways?
So it goes back to the aspect that we're talking about, the 4-letter word, love. Because if love is there, it means that it has covered everything to the latter. It means that it will not be your own, it will not be my own,
It's
it will
not-
be
it's not always about love,
our
it's
own.
that fidel.
No, when I say
Let's Pastor tell us.
no, let me just make my statement
due to
and then I
time.
stay me quiet. When I say that it's an aspect of love, if I meet Christelle here, Christelle has heaven and earth, I have the rest of the other stuff. I meet Christelle and I know very well, irrespective of whether I come from whichever wealthy background or whatever you have, I go for you and she comes for me and we seal our union together. Means that it is love. I cannot to a woman that I say I am married, I cannot ever look at that woman as a very, very low person. And when I say as a very, very low person, I mean directly saying that even if it was that I am all made up before getting married to her, there will never be a day that as it is even anyway, it may be different to other men, it may be different to what other people are doing, but even for me to insult just a common friend, let me know if it's a common,
that's
to
you.
insult my friend,
That's you.
different
But
ball
people
game.
have different characters, different behaviors, different
Mentality.
upbringings and mentality.
Obviously.
And there are people, I've heard this over and over. I've heard it several times.
Always.
The way
Of
people
course.
keep saying that.
Yes, of course.
That look
we
at
say
you, where were
it is
you?
not because of love, but the mentality
Your
they take to
mentality,
enter
yeah.
marriage.
That's why I mentioned that
Yes.
we need to be educated.
So at the end of the day, let's grow up to what marriage is.
Thank
Whether
you.
you have money or not, when we come to marriage, let's do marriage. Let's talk about marriage from both women and men's
Yes.
angle. Let's talk about marriage, learn about marriage, and do marriage. And we'll not be having
All these crazy.
please get out of my side.
Yeah, you are this
You
or
were
you are
not there when I
that.
had
But
5
if you
million.
understand what it means to unite, because it's a
Thank you.
union.
Thank you.
They say two becomes one.
Thank you.
Obviously.
Then that is my house.
And the vision of marriage is bigger than all of these things we are talking about. Especially as a child of God, you are supposed to meet purpose. God sent the both of you on earth for a particular reason, and if you people are meeting, there is something you are supposed to achieve.
Chief.
And if you have been blessed, especially following the patterns of God, that marriage is something that even the devil cannot fight against. So when you start dividing over trivial matters, you are instead opening opportunity for the enemy to come and infiltrate to your homes and destroy lives and all of that. The thing that a marriage in agreement can conquer is far beyond what money can ever buy.
That's true.
Thank you, said agreement.
Yeah, a marriage
And that's where I base my focus when it comes to marriage.
yes, agreement,
That
right?
it's on agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if sorry to say it, even they say every pot has a cover in this world.
Remember.
And it's because of this high class that so many people are looking at that most of let me say most of the ladies end up without getting married. You see somebody
They've
who's
set a
really
standard.
very, very beautiful, but at the end of the day does not get married and wears out like that. But at the same time, you look at the type of people that you say, but what are these two people really eating in their house?
They are very happy.
But they are married.
Very, very happy.
That is
And
it.
they are happy.
Committed.
That is
Whether it
to
is
some
a
extent.
poor person that is married or a rich person that is married, marriage is married. It remains like that.
And our young girls should also bear in mind and carry that the man you see today may not be the man you see tomorrow. Like we are human, there's just one person that knows the future of each and every one of us, and that is God. If you go back to him in the place of prayer, as pastor will agree, and want to know the will of God, no, Kali, please. To know the will of God for this, for your union, you see, you go. It's further than the expensive showcase of wedding. It's further than the price, the bride price and all. Sometimes we just fail to understand that we have a purpose to achieve. You see someone you mock. I know of someone whom they were laughing at, literally laughing at her. Like, what are you doing in that home? Just you're suffering and all. But today she's good in the US with her complete family. And so we should really learn, rather than focusing on the extravagant nature of our weddings, see if it's good, we will come and enjoy. See, that's the kind of wedding I like to attend.
But we are not denying that if you have, that you should not give.
No, give us, no, that would be sin, that would be utter
But
sin.
don't alter your
give
marriage
But
because
don't
of that.
strain because you want to satisfy.
Don't
Not
even
even strain,
think that the
some
size
stuff-
of that thing,
Some
what
even
happens there
interrupt marriage.
depends.
It doesn't-
Yeah,
after that doesn't
that's
matter.
nothing.
Yes.
That's for us.
People
to come
get
and eat.
to rent the most expensive halls,
Decoration of
do
hundreds of
everything, but the
thousands.
truth is Whether everything you do there, it does not matter after. We have this text message. This one says, greetings to you all. Thanks for this wonderful topic. I think even the Bible says a man will leave his family and cleave to his wife, and the two shall be one. This is enough to let us know that the marriage is between two people. Now, it is true that these two comes from a family, and we need to acknowledge them by giving them what they ask. But for me, I think the woman or girl should put some sense into their parents based on the financial strength of the man, because after the ceremony they have to live with the reality of life. Unfortunately, this person did not send us the name. This one says,
trying, but they don't succeed.
Good evening, sir. Most of these women whom has already made it are too proud to get married to them is a very big mistake.
That's what you
And
think.
to the
Go
men
close.
who've not made it, they are
That's what you
so
think. Go
foolish.
close.
All right,
They are
though.
too humble to walk.
That's what you think. Go close and find out.
Okay, thank you so
We'll
very
check
much.
next time.
We will end this edition of the program today. Hopefully, you've learned something out there. If you're a man, maybe you are seeing one woman who has built an upstairs beside you and is still single, and maybe he's moving the pastor said that make a move.
Make
Now,
a
be
move.
man.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah,
Please
don't
do
be
what you
afraid.
make a move.
And if you think that feeding the whole of Boya and renting the whole hall and you rent the most expensive car and pam, pale and call determines how happy you live after. Madam Krista said, oh, come and eat. But after that, you live with your own reality. So all we are trying to say is that, quote unquote, according to your material, don't do things because other people are doing it, or don't push yourself to compete with others when you don't have that. People who spend millions of money and are still living in rented house in marriages, that doesn't really make sense. Madam Krista, thank you so very much for coming. It's always a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
And Pastor,
Yeah.
thank you so very
Learn
much.
more about marriage before going into it.
Learn more about marriage before going to it. Mr. Ibrahim Fidel?
Unfortunately, there's no test marriage in Africa. We would have been saying that we'll do test marriage for like 2 years before you fully
Okay.
get it.
All right. Thank you all so very much. It's been a wonderful program. We thank Madame Gwankwaines, who is behind the cameras, ensuring that everything moves on smoothly. We equally thank Reverend Father Nicholas Nanji and Madame Bong Joyce, who are supervising us. Next week, hopefully we'll be here again for another beautiful, wonderful edition of your program, Let's Talk. But until then, keep watching beautiful programs here on Divine Mercy.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
The angel of the Lord declared unto Mary,
And she conceived by the Holy Spirit.
Hail,